And welcome back. This is the next session on the virtual spotter training from the National Weather Service in Spokane, and this topic is about cold weather hazards. So back to that weather spotter checklist, heavy snow is very important to report. In fact, when you get your first snow of the season, we'd like to hear from you. So come November, December time, give us a call and give us a report when you get your first snow. Doesn't matter how much you get. Then after that, when you get at least 2 inches of new snow, give us a report on that as well. Keep in mind, heavy snowfall for the National Weather Service is roughly about 4 inches or more in 12 hours or 6 inches and more in 24 hours. And this pertains mainly for the valley areas. So blizzards. Did you know that blizzards have an actual criteria that has to be met? A lot of people think that we see lots of blizzards in our area. But for a blizzard to be considered, we need to have strong gusty winds that are 35 miles an hour or greater. We need to have blowing snow that reduces visibility to a quarter mile or less. And this should be happening for at least 3 hours. In addition, bitter cold temperatures too. Sometimes we get blizzard conditions, but overall, they tend to be quite rare. Mixed precipitation is very important to report, and this covers many different types of precipitation, from freezing rain and drizzle to sleet, even snow changing to rain, and maybe rain changing to snow. And also ice accumulation, where you see the ice building up. If it's a quarter inch or greater, that would mean an ice storm warning is needed. So your typical winter storm scenario in the inland Northwest. We have lots of cold air in place across the region, including the valleys. Then we get a warm Pacific storm system moving in with lots of mild air that overrides that cold air. Precipitation begins as snow, and as that warm air erodes the cold air, it'll start to change over and wanting to change to rain. But before that, we could see periods of sleet and freezing rain. So knowing what type of precipitation is going on has to do with what the temperature is doing in the atmosphere. For snow to fall, our atmosphere is below freezing, which makes sense. We get the snow crystals forming and it falls straight down. It's pretty easy. But when we get that warm air moving in, the shallow warm layer can lead to sleet or even graupel. The deeper the warm air moving in, we can get freezing rain. So we'll have the precipitation falling as snow, then melting to rain, and either refreezing as sleet or freezing as it reaches the ground and producing ice. So the vertical temperature is very critical. Another term we hear a lot about are atmospheric rivers. There are significant plumes of subtropical moisture in the atmosphere that act as strong rivers that move across the globe. They usually accompany very mild air and causes snow levels to rise, and they can last for several days. And our weather forecast models are fairly good on predicting them. We can see them on satellite as well, where we see these tongues of moisture moving up. And we tend to see a lot of them reaching the west coast, from California to Oregon to Washington. And they have a lot of moisture with them. And a lot of times this can bring our snow changing to rain across the region. Now, other scenarios that bring us our hazardous winter weather can be caused by small-scale, unstable low-pressure systems, typically forming behind a strong cold front. They're small, little upper-level disturbances, not well forecast by the models at times, and can produce some significant snow in small areas that just last a few hours. This is where the spotters play a really big role on providing spotter reports. So to reiterate, we have many different types of warnings that the Weather Service issues for severe and hazardous weather. We have tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, flooding warnings, not only for our rivers but flash flooding as well. Then our winter warnings, from heavy snow to ice storm to bitter cold. Then we have high wind warnings for very strong winds. During the summertime and early fall, we put out warnings for our fire users under red flag warnings. And then when temperatures are dipping down too cold too soon, we have freeze warnings as well. Now this concludes this section of the virtual spotter training by the National Weather Service Spokane, and I hope you check back for our next session.